just going to come back here and look at the blade, and I'm going to just scale some of these a little bit more. So I'm going to go to Edge, double click on these, and use the scale tool, and I'm just going to taper these off. Let's move in here and grab this one and bring it out like that. Same thing here. Okay, and this one I'm also going to scale it down just a little bit more, like that. Okay, right. Bring this one down a little more too. Okay, so we just have a little bit more of an even tapering off here. Okay, this might be a little wide up here, but let's go ahead and model our handle now, and then we'll come back and make some adjustments to this if it doesn't feel right, if this feels like it's a little bit too thick up here. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're going to model this out of a separate cube. Let's go ahead and drop a cube in the scene here. I'm going to hit W on the keyboard, and over here in the side view I can pick this up and move it around, and it's only going to translate on the Y coordinate and in this case the Z coordinate. Okay, so I'm going to drag this up into place here, and there's a number of ways we can do this. We can scale this out to the overall length and move it into position, and then come back and start shaping this. I sort of like this approach as opposed to coming down here and extruding each one and shaping it as we did. We can also try a whole other different technique of using a curve and then extruding along that curve. So there's a number of different ways that we can handle this. I'm going to go ahead and come over to the channel box and select this polycube, and I'm going to subdivide it along the height. I'm going to go ahead and just click on this. I can type in a number here, or I can click on this and it will become interactive. So once I come over here into my scene, I'm going to hold down that middle mouse button, and you'll see that I get two arrows that go side by side. And if I begin to click and drag to the right, it's going to start adding subdivisions in there. So in this case I have 9. I think that's a good start. Let's go ahead and go to vertex, and let's grab this lower portion right here. I'm going to hit the B key, which brings up our soft select, and we can see that it's fading off right here. That feels like maybe it's a little too wide of a radius. I'm going to hold down the B key, and I'm going to bring my radius down to right about there. So now I'm going to pull this over. Same thing here. I'm going to push this one up, and I'm going to just start sliding these into place. It's not going to be exact, but it's going to rough out the overall curvature that we have with this handle. Okay, and maybe right about here, and right about there. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the B key and turn off our soft select, and then let's come back and start shaping these. Okay, so I know this top one right here has got a little bit of an angle on it. What's also happening in our scene is that we have another edge along here that's creating the curvature of the handle. Let's go ahead and drop that in with our edge loop tool. So I'm going to drop it in there. I'm going to hit Q to end that. I'm going to hit W on the keyboard, double click this edge, hold down the X key, and then just using our X translate, I'm going to snap that into place right there. Okay, so I know this is on the origin. Okay, and to create this curvature, I'm going to hit R on the keyboard, that's going to bring up the scale tool, and I'm going to scale it in the x-axis. Okay? So it's sort of gone out here and then in here. Let's grab this edge right here, pull that out. Okay? Create the roundness that we're looking for. Okay, pulling that out. And I can look down here now and I can see that we've got some curvature happening. Okay, we can even pull this out just a little bit more. Alright, so let's go in and start modifying the shape of this from the side view. I'm going to start up here on the top and grab these, use the move tool, and I'm going to pull these into place. So this one I'm going to have to do separately. Okay, grabbing these and pulling them down. Okay, so we can see what that's doing right there. Okay, and we have some more edges that we'll probably need to drop in here, but let's just go ahead and get this roughed out into place. We can't see this one right now, so we're just kind of guessing where it's at. We know the axe is coming out here. This is the shoulder point, so let's go ahead and place this up here. Alright, that looks good. Here and there, and looks like we may have another one right here to create this curvature. So we'll come back and grab that in another round of dropping in edge loops. So right now we're getting about every other edge right now. Okay, so this is coming into here. We're going to pull this down to this one. Okay, lining these up. And with this one, it looks like we don't have to skip. We'll go ahead and grab this and move it into position. And just making sure I'm grabbing the ones on the back side too. Okay, pulling these over. So we just have a few more edge loops up along the top of the handle, and I believe that was just for creating that shoulder and the curvature that was happening. So we've got a little bit less curvature happening down here. Okay, so we have another edge loop we have to drop in here to create this curve. So you see, you're starting to see why an edge loop is dropped in, like why we need it. It's to create the form of the overall model here. So we're not just dropping in edge loops randomly. They're serving a purpose. In the case of this one right here, I almost don't see a need for it. There's a tiny bit of curve happening right here, but I almost feel like we can eliminate this one. We definitely need one right here to capture this curve. Okay, let's come back here and just finish up down here, and then we'll come back and start adding those edge loops in the places that we need them. Okay. Alright, and then we've got this area down here, and we will have to come back and add an edge loop. So to capture this curvature down here at the bottom, the handle here, we need to drop in an edge loop down the center. Okay, let's go ahead and do that first. We're going to drop it in here. Okay, I'm going to hit Q to end that. Right mouse click, go to vertex, and I'm going to pull this down. Okay, so we can kind of see what's going on down here, and what we want to see is the bottom of this coming down lower than these two. So I'm shift selecting these 2 points and I'm going to pull them up a little bit. Okay. Once we create this hole right here, we'll be able to add the additional points. Okay. So let's go ahead and complete the shape of the handle. So we know we need a curve right here, an edge loop to create this curve. So I'm going to drop this in, Q on the keyboard, right mouse click, go to vertex, and I'm going to pull these into position. Okay, so this may actually be coming in right about here. Okay, same thing here, and right about there. Okay, so we need another edge loop here to capture this curve. Hit Q to end that. Go to vertex, move tool, pulling that in. Okay, so let's kind of follow this curvature right here. Same thing here. Okay. Here as well. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to just go ahead and drop this in. I don't feel like it needs to be there, but we'll go ahead and follow along with our template. Okay, and just pull this in a little bit. Okay. And let's go down here and drop in an edge loop for this curve. Q to end it. Vertex. Move tool. Pull these out. Line that up over here and pull these up and over. Great. Let's go ahead and drop one in right here as well. We know we've got one coming across here that's going to be part of our hole that we create. And I'm hitting Q to end that, right mouse click, and pulling these back in. Actually, we'll pull that back out here. This is going to move up to this point, creating the curvature along here. And then I'm going to come out here and just take a look at what's going on. Okay, so axes don't just come straight down like this, they also have curvature going in this direction. Let's just see what's going on down here as far as this goes. So it feels like this point here probably needs to come down and maybe in like that. Well, it is actually coming all the way up here. Okay, and let's go ahead and pull this one down here. We'll capture this one once we create our hole right here. We'll have another edge to create this point along here. Okay, so I'm dragging a marquee to make sure I've got the back side and moving that into place right there. Alright. Okay, lining those up. They got out of place. Alright. So that's the basic shape of our axe. We do need to come back in here and shape this to create the curvature in this direction. We're going to use the lattice tool for that, and we'll come back in the next lesson.